I couldn't even make my own treatment decisions until I started to deal with the shame of having HPV. When I was 19, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. And then 10 years later, when I was 29, I was diagnosed with bifocal vulvar and vaginal cancer. A big part of my oncology story is that I'm pretty ashamed of the fact that I had cancer. And I'm pretty ashamed of the fact that I had HPV-related cancer. I was actually sexually assaulted, which is how I got HPV. My rape kit tested positive for HPV. I was told when I was growing up that that if it's an acquaintance, then it's not rape. And so I had always known that it was my fault that I had HPV. And so that transferred to, I knew it was my fault that I had cancer. There was a moment, though, when I engaged with that information in a different way. There was a woman who actually was an acquaintance of mine, and now since is my cancer support partner, who I ended up telling that I had cancer. I broke denial, and I told her I had cancer at an oncology conference. Yeah, I was in a room full of oncologists, and she was a researcher who was at this conference. I felt like cancer was stamped on my forehead around all these oncologists, and I just didn't want to hear it. And I remember breaking down and telling her that I felt like it was my fault. And her response was, that it's not my responsibility, it's not my fault about what happens to me, but it's my responsibility to take care of myself, and I am only responsible for how I respond to what happens to me. And in that universe, I was not told that I needed to give up this thing about feeling like it was my fault. It was just that I could add choice and autonomy and self-respect. That moment, that day at this oncology conference in Seattle, when I sat and talked to this woman, was the day that I was able to then start making more informed decisions about my care.